to the latest Rosbifs Rugby Top 14 team guide. This one is an interesting one because it is the new boys Montauban. But if you appreciate the fact that we've been bringing you team guides for all of the teams in Top 14 and Pro Day in the English language, please hit subscribe and give this video a like to help us bring more French rugby content in the English language. But let's get into Montauban, the new boys to the Top 14, a team that hopefully, I'm sure people won't know that much about because they were kind of unheralded. They were completely unheralded in Pro Day last year. When I saw them and where I got this wonderful piece of stash, they were with Adidas. They had some amazing kit last year. They've switched to Joma, who generally have actually been pretty cool. Some of their kit that they've released. This is a proper underdog story, the Montauban one. When I watched them back in March 2024, they were sliding down the table. They finished 15th. They played the access match to get relegated into National, the third tier of French rugby. They won that game by 1 point against Narbonne. That was the first ever access match between National and Pro Day 2. Historically, the 15th place side would have gone automatically relegation. So they were pretty lucky to even get the chance of a playoff, and they won that playoff. They snuck through. We kind of mocked them last year. They had the 7th biggest operating budget going into the season in Pro Day 2, and we thought, well, they're not getting much value for money from that because they're going to struggle again. Like, it wasn't that unthought of that that they were no one's favourites to go up. No one would have thought that they might come up to the top 14. They did finish 6th, so they kind of slightly bettered their operating budget, I guess. But the fact that they were so close to relegation and just didn't really offer much the year before, to the fairy tale run that they had in the barrage and the playoffs last season was remarkable. Anyone that was able to watch it on FR UK Rugby on YouTube, that barrage, those kind of playoff games, there was something magical about it, and this is a magical story. That it's all around. There's kind of a couple of key protagonists, and Jerome Bosville has taken a lot of the highlights, but we would like to highlight Sebastian Tillis-Board, who did a really good job at Rouen the year before, nearly kept them up after they were way cut adrift, and then really built something with Montauban. The fact that the improvement that they saw, he's still in immaculate nick. But when they kind of executed their game plan brilliantly in those barrage games, they played some really good rugby at times. They were a little bit streaky, like they would have kind of five wins in a row and then 5 losses in a row. So that's interesting. I don't quite know what to do with that information, but there's the information for you. I kind of remember thinking at times like Montauban, they're really good, and then they would just flop for like a few weeks. But if they could, when they were good, they were really good. And as we saw, they were capable of beating anyone. They would have been massive underdogs in every single one of those playoff games. Like, to go away to local rivals Colomiers, they had played a few weeks before in the Derby round at Stade Ernest-Vallon in Toulouse against Colomiers and got absolutely blown away. Brive, with their huge budget, huge pack, they would have been heavy favourites at home. And then Grenoble were the best team in Pro Day by miles last season. And Montauban top of them all. And the main man was Jerome Bosville for Montauban. When I saw them at Stade Sapiac, so Sapiac is the name of the stadium, you may see them as USM Sapiac on social media. Jerome Bosville was like one of the more ineffectual games of rugby I've seen from someone. Everything he did was just nothing kind of came of it. Like, it wasn't, I think he might have like had a little bit of a mare, but also like the things he didn't attack, like it was just nothing. Like it was ineffectual. He was brilliant last season, and he became a kind of cult hero of Pro Day 2. Like, how will they go under a Jerome Bosville spiral bomb on a Friday night? Kind of became a little bit of a Stoke on a rainy Tuesday sort of thing. Like, his kicking game, the spiral bomb, is devastating. Like, the range of his kicking, the size of his boot is amazing. 15 years in Pro Day 2 without playing a single top 14 game. He finally gets, at the age of 35, a chance of the top 14. So that's a really, really cool story. The other players that I've got in that key player list, Simon Render, really consistent centre, knows for the try line, only 25, so still plenty of development. Can play 12 or 13, one to look out for maybe. Siku Notche, who, if you're South African or fan of the Rugby Championship, you will remember playing for South Africa. was a really, really primary ball carrier for them, brought that physicality. They relied on him a lot to carry ball. They're going to have to rely on him again this season. And Joshua Visi I've got in there, who is like, I was quite surprised to know he hadn't played full 15s for Fiji. He has played for Fijian Sevens and very nearly made the Rio Olympics, but he is almost like your stereotype of a Fijian rugby player, because he just plays with a smile on his face. There's some ludicrous offloads. He's an unbelievable physical specimen. Like, he plays on the wing. He can absolutely destroy people. He's quick. Some of the offloads are amazing. He is also so capable of the most brain-dead moments on a rugby pitch. He's entertaining to watch. He also dyes his hair quite often green in the Montauban colours, in the USM colours. Sometimes just blue or red or gold or whatever. So, look, you can't miss him. He's a massive unit as well. He will be really fun to watch in the top 14. Few shout-outs for some of the other kind of guys that deserve a shot at the big time. I think Fred Quercy's made a few headlines this week. Former Montpellier man, hasn't had much of a crack at the top 14. Spanish back rower, another like proper warhorse, especially in those barrage games. He's their captain, like great at the breakdown, physical presence, amazing facial hair as well. Really good designer stubble on him. Clement Bitts, another one, 30-year-old lock, their main man at line-out time, another one that does loads of the dirty work. And Leo Aouf, shout out for him, like really, really solid prop, one of the best loose heads in the top 14 last season. They do have some really cool young players, you can see there. So Kylian Ringay, really excited to see him play. He could well be the sort of guy that, you know, he's only 21, he could be a France international even by the end of this season. Almost certainly will in the future. Like, athletic back rower, dynamic ball carrier, great at the breakdown, loves the tough stuff around the ruck and the maul as well. Really cool player. Noah Kanika as well, another one who kind of listed as a second row back row, but I've seen him mainly as a tight head lock. Really good at maul time. You got to love those players that just like can stop a maul almost on their own. And Thomas Bouet, a talented young loose head, like came off the bench quite a lot, as you'd expect for a guy who's 22, 23, but went pretty well. And actually in that semi-final away at Brive, like he was on the park when Brive kind of lost their kind of scrum dominance with that 7-1 split. So clearly a talented player. I mentioned the ball carrying of Notche. Well, one guy that's going to be... Well, they've signed a couple of guys to kind of perhaps take some of that burden. Nafi Marfu, American players come from Biarritz. But one of the big signings that we're really excited to see is Vaea Fafita. Like, a guy who's played for the All Blacks, now plays for Tonga. Scarlets fans will know that he was one of the best players in the URC. On his day, like, really, really good ball carrier, dynamic, great athlete. Like, he's such a good player. Like, he was so cool at Wasps as well. Through his time there. They don't actually lose too many players. The guys that they've lost are players that played a couple of years ago, so basically when they were crap. So they've not lost the fact that they've kind of got a team that's built together and under a good coaching staff. That's cool. Hopefully that will help them, but we aren't kind of holding out too much hope for Montauban. They've got such a small operating budget. Like, it's 14 million euros, and the fact that the top 14 salary cap is at 10, and some clubs will get that boosted by their GIF quota or French internationals. Like, someone like Toulouse is nearly spending 14 mil just on players, and Montauban are doing this across their whole operations, their whole rugby operations. So they are complete underdogs this season. I don't quite think, because their game plan is going to be based around Bosveld's kicking game, and they are capable of scoring some wonderful tries, I don't think they will quite be as bad as like Argennes 2-point season. Getting a win though, Sapiac's a really cool place. Stade Sapiac is a really cool place to go. We're hoping to go back. It has been renovated since I was there. Loved my time there. It was such a cool evening. I think that will be quite a tough place for some teams to go. They should pick up the odd win there, but we aren't holding out too much hope for them. It will be a sporting miracle if they avoid relegation back to Pro D2 this season. But let us know if you disagree with that. If you think we've kind of written them off too early, please let us know in the comments, and make sure you like and subscribe. But once again, thank you for watching our Top 14 team guide. This one was on Montauban. Cheers.